Have you ever seen an Amazon seller scanning products in a retail store trying to decide if it's profitable enough for them to sell on Amazon or not? What app are they using? How do they do that? Tell me the secrets. Well, guess what? Your boy Reezy is basically the masked magician because I'm here to share the secrets with you.
Reezy Resells. Follow the hustle.
When you're looking for items to sell on Amazon, whether it's in a retail store or online, you have to go through so many different items that aren't profitable so that you can find items that are profitable. That means that speed is the name of the game. And if you want to get through the losers as fast as possible, you absolutely need to be using SellerAmp because it is the industry standard and it just saves you so much time. Anybody who is successful at retail arbitrage and tells you they're not using SellerAmp, they're probably lying. Real quick, before I get into the video, I just want to give a big shout out to today's sponsor, which is SellerAmp. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys sponsoring the video. And this is great because I already have such good alignment with SellerAmp. I use SellerAmp. I recommend all the students in my reselling academy to use SellerAmp. And this video was actually already on the list of videos that I wanted to make. So partnering with SellerAmp, it just couldn't be any sweeter. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Now let's get into the video. All right, before we get into the nitty gritty, let's just have a quick look at SellerAmp's website. So first off, I just want to let you know you get 3 tools with the one product. You get the Chrome extension, the web app, and the mobile app. If you're doing retail arbitrage, the mobile app is most important for you. But if you are doing online arbitrage, you will be using the web app and the Chrome extension a lot. Let's just scroll down here and see some of the comprehensive analysis tools that they offer. So you have the quick info tab, profit calculator, offers, alerts, storefront search, Keepa charts, ranks and prices, Google Sheets, notes and tags, eBay lookup, smart search, mobile share, and split screen. You have all your history, and it's just overall very fast. Now let's check out the pricing. There is 2 different plans. There is the getting started plan and the getting serious plan. The getting starting plan has 1 phone app install, 2 Chrome extension installs, and you can look up 1,000 products per month. The getting serious plan has 3 phone app installs. That means you, someone else on your team, and another person can install it on their phone. 5 Chrome extensions, that's 5 computers, and you have unlimited lookups per month. So the getting started plan is great for people who are getting started, and then when you're getting serious, move on to the getting serious plan. There's a little bit of a discount here if you go annual, but let's move into the nitty gritty. Now, normally, especially if you're a retail arbitrage seller, you're going to be using SellerAmp on your phone. But the beauty about SellerAmp is the user interface on the Chrome extension, the web app, and the phone app is pretty much exactly the same. So even though I'm not using the phone app to demonstrate in this video, what I'm demonstrating will be applicable to those of you that are only going to use the phone app. It's exactly the same no matter where you use it. All right, so we got a product here on the page. This is exactly how you would expect a page to be. Now let me go ahead and right click and load the SellerAmp extension. And you can see it is now loading and pulling up data. And man, this is a very comfortable feeling here. So let's just browse through this real quick. We have shortcuts to all the icons at the top. We have a whole bunch of different panels that give us all the different information that we need to make a buying decision. And we have an in-depth settings section where we can go through here and add all kinds of stuff like the minimum BSR percentage we want to use, or maximum, minimum profit, and minimum ROI. As you can see, I have my minimum profit set to $3 and my minimum ROI set to 25%. There's also an additional cost panel. So right here I have 9.25% put in, and that is just to calculate sales tax for myself when I have to pay sales tax. So when I'm not paying sales tax, I would actually remove that. And you have prep fee and miscellaneous fee. So prep fee would be a good place to put in like $1.25 if that's what your prep center is charging you to process units. There is inbound shipping estimates. You can choose what type of Amazon splits you're getting for your inbound shipments. You have peak storage fees on or off. And just overall, here's all of the settings that you can do. And then down here, the SAS panels. This is very important because each one of these panels is a section that shows up when you scan an item, and you can turn panels on or off. So you can see I have some of these turned off, and I have some of them turned on. And then there's also this move, and you can drag these and order them in different areas. So that's really cool. Quick info should definitely be at the top. So let's go ahead and reload this, go back to the item that we were just looking at, and let's just go through each section, and I'm gonna let you know what we got going on here. So at the top, you got the image, the title, we got the reviews, the ASIN, the UPC, all these are great. Then we have the dimensions, right? Very important to understand if the dimensions and weight are correct. The bullets, a link to open it up on Amazon, a link to open it up in Google, and a link to open this up into the SellerAmp web app, which is just a much wider screen and more in-depth access to be able to go through everything quicker. But for the most part, we're going to be using this screen. Now, the next panel is the quick info panel. And this is very great because first off, you can see the maximum buy cost. So for me, it says it's $45.43. And what that means is that that's the most I can afford to pay for this item to hit my minimum standards for ROI or dollar profit, which is going to be 30% ROI or $3 profit. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to buy stuff for $3 profit, but I would like to cast a wider net than a skinnier net, if you know what I mean. But it does save you a lot of time because if I scan a product and it says max cost $45.43 and then I look at the product and it's $55.43, then I know I can't afford to buy that at a price that meets my profit thresholds and I can move on to the next one. So max cost is usually the first thing I look at when I scan a product. We also have the eligible. So this will tell you if you're eligible to sell a product or not. And if you are not, you can actually scroll down to this section and then you can do a manual ungating and see if you can get approved to it. I'm not currently logged in just for security reasons, but normally I would be logged in. So we have the alerts section. This is telling us right now, hey, there's 46 variations on this item, so make sure you check it out. It could also tell you that it's a potential IP claim, or maybe that it's hazmat, or maybe that Amazon doesn't share the buy box. The alert section is SellerAmp doing its best to give you a heads up for certain things that might cause problems that you should look at before you decide to make a purchase. Then we have the BSR and the estimated sales. This says 557 per month. Now we have these fields, the cost price and the sale price. So $79.99 is currently what it's selling for. And if we paid $0 for this shoe, our profit would be $60.99. But let's say we paid $40 for this shoe. That would leave us a profit of $17.29 or a 43.22% ROI. Pretty cool. And you could change these around and you could even do math here. So let's say you had a $50 price on the shelf and it was 25% off. You can actually multiply by 0.75 and hit enter, and that would be $37.50. So you can do basic math in the SellerAmp fields. It's very, very useful. Shout out to Flips for Miles for bringing that to my attention. Real quick, before we continue, guys, I just want to let you know that if you're thinking about getting started selling on Amazon and you feel like you might need a coach or a mentor, I started a reselling academy back in January, and we now have 100 students in the academy. We are taking many of them to $10,000 in sales per month, and we have some students that have already broke 100,000 in sales in their first year and are looking to do 200 to 250,000 before the dust settles. Now, I can't work with everybody, but please fill out the link below to see if you qualify for my mentorship program. And for those of you that do qualify, it's going to be almost impossible for you to fail at selling on Amazon, provided you follow the steps I give you, you put the work in, and you meet with me and the other sellers in the community every week. We actually meet twice a week. I'm looking forward to helping you achieve the goals that you want with selling on Amazon. Hit me up. We now return you to your previously scheduled program. Next up, we have the ranks and prices card. And this is also very, very important because not only do we get all of these metrics, BSR percentage buy box, Amazon, lowest FBA prices, Keepa BSR drops, net buy box price changes, estimated sales. For current, we also get them for 30-day average, 90-day average, 180-day average, and lifetime average. Now that is incredibly useful because it allows us to look at the data and see if it's artificially high right now or if it's lower, or just to be able to check the stability, right? So let's look at the BSR, for example, 28,000. That's the current BSR. The 30-day average is 40,000 BSR. The 90-day average is 50,000 BSR, and the 180-day average is 46,000 BSR. So 40,000 BSR is pretty consistent for this item. Now let's look at the buy box price. So the current buy box, I think it was 80 bucks or so. The 30-day average is 85, 80, 72, and then all is 63. So these are just very, very useful numbers, and to see how they change over time. Like I said, we have the estimated sales, the buy box drops, all of that stuff. And now we go down to the alerts section, and this is very important. So does Amazon share the buy box? They're never on the listing. That's good. That's why it's green. Is it private label? Nike is not a known private label brand. Also green. IP analysis. No known IP issues. Standard size, meltable, no, but variations, and you get a warning and it says, check it out, this listing has 46 variations, which is crazy. So you got to make sure that the sales that you're thinking the item you're holding is going to have is actually realistic, because the estimated sales is across this entire page, which has 46 variations. So when there's a lot of variations, you definitely want to do some investigating. The next section is the charts. So this is just like Keepa, but it is built into SellerAmp, and it's actually so good that if you're a beginner seller and you're not using the Keepa product finder search yet for online arbitrage purposes, you could probably get away with just using SellerAmp and the built-in charts. They're actually very, very good. Shout out to whoever coded these, because they're really good. And it operates just like you would expect. You have a little key up here that tells you what each line is for. You can hover on any line to see prices. You can change it to a day, week, month, 3 months, year, or all. And that's just incredibly useful to see the trends for pricing, sales rank, supply, demand, ratings, all that stuff. Super duper useful, and it's right there. And then again, we have down here the profit calculator. So you have your cost price, your sale price, and then it tells you what your profit and your ROI, and it breaks down your fees and everything. And right here, this little switch right here, this does the math for fulfillment by merchant or fulfillment by Amazon. And earlier when I mentioned the profit, I had it switched to FBM. So let's switch it over to FBA and see what it says. Because right now it says $20 profit FBM with a $7 FBM cost. Now, if we switch it to FBA, it looks like we are going to make $18.50. And that actually might be better, because $7 FBM cost is just a placeholder. And I doubt I would be able to ship a pair of shoes to a customer for $7. It's probably going to be more like $12. So they're actually decently comparable, but FBA is probably going to be the better option over time. We have a slider here to adjust how long we think it's going to take to sell. That way it adds more storage fees into the equation. And we also have some other stuff like profit margin, break-even price, and the estimated Amazon payout. And you can adjust your quantity here if you want to see those numbers scale out if you're buying a lot of quantity of an item as well. So that's pretty cool. And then over here we have the offers column. Now, if there was a lot of sellers on this listing, there would be more rows of sellers. There's actually only one seller on this listing right now, and so that's why there's only one row shown right here. So it says that this seller is selling fulfilled by merchant. It says they have 2 in stock. This is their price. This is their profit. This is their ROI percentage. Before I forget, I want you to know that you can click on these sellers' names to open up their storefront in SellerAmp. And once their storefront opens up, you can actually see all the products in their store, and you can go through and see if you can find more stuff for yourself to sell. This is really great. The storefront stocking with SellerAmp is tremendous. We have all of the brands right here that this person sells. We can click on those. We have all the categories this person sells. So you can use this to spy on other people's stores and try to find more products for yourself. Very valuable way to rabbit trail from one product into more profitable products. Cannot overstate how valuable that feature is. So let's go to the next section. We have the buy box analysis. So here in the buy box analysis, you can see that for the average 30 days, the buy box has actually been suppressed 82% of the time. The other 18% of the time, this seller Best Corp had it for $84.80 on average. And it tells you they last won the buy box 3 weeks ago. And then we can see what it was for 90 days, 180, and all. And this is very important because it lets you know that you have a chance to get some of the action on this. If this pie chart showed all Amazon and nobody else, that would mean that Amazon dominates the buy box and they don't share, and you most likely don't want to get on it. But as long as there's a lot of different people on here, it means that anybody can get in. You might want to go through and see what prices people were getting in at, because that is going to dictate potentially how often you're occupying the buy box. But underneath the pie chart, we actually have a table of all of the same information, and it tells you what their average price was, how often they were winning the buy box, and when they last won the buy box. And you can also see how many feedback the seller has. So you can see someone like this seller has 1 feedback. Maybe they don't know what they're doing. But when you see this seller with 1,800 feedback, you might want to put a little bit more weight onto them as far as knowing what they're doing, what products they're selling, how they're pricing their stuff, etc. It doesn't mean you can copy them, but it is a good piece of data to analyze. Now, the next section is tremendously important. This is the variations page. And whenever there's a variation, this listing has a lot of variations, a lot of colors, a lot of sizes. You're going to want to go to the variations tab and click check. Then it's going to run and it's going to generate a pie chart just like the buy box chart. And then we're going to go through it, and we actually have the option here for size and color. So what this tells us is that the size 10 is selling more than any other size. The 8.5 is the next best selling size. And you can use this to determine which size is selling the best. But that's not really why we're here, because size is kind of almost irrelevant. It's, the popular sizes sell more across all shoes as per men's and women's. But if we go over here to color, now this is very valuable information, because you might be holding a yellow version of this shoe and thinking it's going to sell very well, but it probably won't, because guess what? The black dark S got 28% of the sales, and the black indigo got 14.7%, but the bright crimson got 11.8%. And so you can see through this chart which color is selling the most, and that is incredibly useful and will stop you from going deep on a variation of an item that's not actually selling very well. So if this listing sells 557 units per month, we are going to do a little bit of math and assume that 28% of those sales are going to this variation, black, dark, smoke, gray. 14.7% of those sales went to black indigo. It's important to know this is not the actual data, but it is an estimate. And I don't want to go into that right now, but this is the best option we have by far for understanding at a glance which variation is selling better. Underneath that, we have a quick little discount section. So this is useful for when you're shopping at a store, either online or retail, and there's a discount and you don't want to have to do the math in your head. So instead of calculating what 10% off is and then putting that in the cost, you can just put the full price into the cost and then click 10%, and it will automatically deduct 10% from the purchase price, or 15% or 20% or 25% or even 3 for 2. So I personally like to do the math in my head. I feel like it's easier for me, but if it's not for you, then you can use these built-in discounts to save you some time. So this section right here is the Arbitrage Hero reverse search. And this tool allows you to reverse search a product to try and find websites that you can purchase it on for profit. You do get 10 free Arbitrage Hero searches a month as a SellerAmp subscriber. And if you want more, you're going to have to subscribe to Arbitrage Hero. Personally, I don't use it. I prefer to use Tactical Arbitrage to do reverse searches, but it's great that it's actually built in and you do get 10 free searches, so you might as well use it. This next section is super duper important. This is the Google Sheets section. So it's fully customizable and you can add whatever you want to this. You can add any sheets you want. The default is just the SAS buy sheet, but I added a check later, a Halloween one that's coming up soon, and then a seasonal one. Now, the purpose of these Google Sheets is to help you save data and time and obviously make more money. But this one's self-explanatory, the SellerAmp buy sheet. If I click this, it will throw the data from this listing into a buy sheet in my Google Sheets, and it will have all of the data that's here, everything. so that when the product shows up at my house or at my prep center, I have all the information that I have right now when I'm buying forever. So everything that I actually buy, whether it's retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, I'm going to click the SAS buy sheet button and it's going to copy all the data right here into the buy sheet so that I have it for all of my decisions down the line. It sounds trivial, but it will save you so much time because you already looked up all of this information. You already put in all the data. The last thing you want to do when it shows up or at any point down the line is have to look up this data, find the listing, remember what you paid for it, etc. You already did it, just save it. So this check later one is great. This is for when I find an item that's pretty good, but something's not quite right. Either the demand is down or I can't get it for cheap enough, but my spidey sense was tingling, so I marked it to check later. There could be 1,000 reasons why I would put something on check later, but basically it's kind of like the previous scenario. It's not profitable right now, but you already did all the research and you have all the information ready to make a buying decision. So you should just save that. And then once a month, I'll go back through those things and I will check back on them and see if they're now profitable. Maybe I can find a discount code to get it at a cheaper price. Maybe these items are on sale. Maybe it was out of stock when I added it to the list and now it's in stock and I can buy it again. And I'll use that data to create a shipment, to send to my prep center, etc. You also have the notes and tags section where you can add notes on an individual item. So anything on your heart's content, just add it down there and it will always be there. You also have this lookup details section, which will tell you all the information about your previous lookups. So if you've looked this up multiple times on different days and had put in different cost prices in there, it would be there. And that's also very, very useful. Of course, you can save and export that stuff. And then you have a section here with some buttons to take you to popular used Amazon Central pages. So one of the last things that we have to show here is a built-in Keepa chart. Now this is great because you don't actually have to have Keepa. I'm not logged into Keepa through SellerAmp, but I get Keepa data here, right here inside the app. I get 7-day, 30, 90, 180, 365, 730, and I can even change it for different marketplaces if I wanted. So that is extremely useful. Obviously, this section is not dynamic like an actual Keepa chart. This is magically pulled into SellerAmp. But if you do click on this, it actually opens it up in Keepa. Well, as long as you're logged in anyways. And then you have all the data that you need from Keepa, all the beautiful Keepa data, whether you want to just set an alert or see all the variations data or whatever. Last but not least, I'm going to bring your attention to this icon in the bottom, the history. So this is everything you've scanned, not just on the mobile app, but also on desktop, which is extremely useful. I'll find myself in a store and then later on the computer and doing more research on the computer and finding more items to sell just because I feel like it's way easier on the computer to do in-depth searches like that. And it's just super cool that I have access to the product data right away. And it just, boom, pulls up all the information, the buy cost, you know, the quantity that I purchased, etc. Everything will be there. And it just makes your life super easy. So now that we ran through and I gave you guys an overview of what everything does, let's actually analyze a product that you might be familiar with from one of my previous videos. If you're not, go ahead and click up here to see that video. But this is the product that I purchased in that video, and it's been a while since I purchased them, so the data has changed. So I believe this is going to be pretty interesting especially for those of you that have watched that video and know what the data was back then. So this is the Feastables Mr. Beast Halloween bag. It's 50 pieces. This is the old formula, so I don't think this is being made anymore. If you look over here, you can see that it says check the alerts panel. If I hover over that, you can see that there is some alert summaries here. Does Amazon share the buy box? They're never on the listing. Is it private label? Unlikely. There's no known IP issues. It's standard size. And then for some reason it says it's not meltable, but obviously it is because it's chocolate. And it also says that there's no variation. So that's really good. Then we can see right here that the BSR is 90,000, which is not that great in grocery. It's actually in the top 3%, which I know you think 3% is great, but on Amazon, we're striving for much better, usually top 1%. It does say that it's selling 17 times a month and that my max cost I can afford to pay for it to meet my minimum profit thresholds is $39.91. Now, it's already populated with $375 because that's what I originally paid for these units each. And if I sold it at today's price, that would be almost $50 profit per unit, or a 1300% ROI, which is kind of crazy. But let's drop in that max cost of today by double clicking that, and you would still be making $10 profit selling them for 70 and buying them for 40, which is just straight ridiculous. They're actually not selling that well anymore, especially at this price. I'll show you why in a second. So let's scroll down to the ranks and prices section. So current BSR 90,000, average 30-day 130,000, 90-day 118,000, 180-day 80,000, and then all is 54,000. So let's go down and look at the chart here. This is the most important thing I want to look at. So let's look at all. You can see all. You see this green line? That's the sales rank. And over time, it is getting higher and higher and higher, which means it's getting worse and worse and worse. And the reason is because the price keeps getting higher and higher as the supply goes down, which discourages people from buying. It's basic supply and demand. But you can see that as the sales rank gets higher and higher, so does the price, which is represented by this pink line and then this FBA line, the $64.99. The pink line is actually the buy box. Orange line is the FBA price, and then the blue line is the FBM price. And the key is up here for all that information. The middle chart shows you how many monthly sold units, and then the bottom chart is the offers. And guess what? You can see that over time, as the number of offers went down on this page, guess what happened? The price went up. The green line here represents the review count, and you can see that's steadily increasing for a long time, and then it kind of flattens out because it's not making a lot of sales, so it can't be getting a lot of reviews. And then we have the rating here, which is pretty flat at like 4 stars, 3.8 to 4.2 or whatever. Then we can go down and we have the profit calculator here. Do you want to do FBA or fulfilled by merchant? Estimate your FBM cost. That FBM cost is actually accurate to what I was paying. Let's actually look at the last month. So if you look at the month on here, SellerAmp says 17 sales. And then we look at this and we look at how many times this line goes down or isn't going up, because if it's not selling, it should be going up and getting worse. So that makes sense to me. There's at least 17 sales worth of action there for sure. And it is just crazy to me to think that people are paying $69.99 or even $40 for this, because I got it for $375. So at this price, I'd be making $50 profit, and even selling it at $40, I would be making $24 profit. I think I was selling it around $28 on the high end and more closer to $20, something like that. Just watch the video if you want to see the rest of the details. So let's go past the chart, past the profit calculator, and then go see the offers. So currently there is one seller, Cantaloupe Antelope, who has 14 quantities selling it for $69.99. Now I wouldn't be surprised if this person learned about this bolo, be on the lookout, by watching my YouTube video. So I scoured all the stores. I couldn't find any more, which is why I actually released the video, but I'm sure some people were able to find some quantity. Now we can click on this and then open up this person's store and see what they're actually selling and see if we can get any more ideas off of this. So wait for it to load. It does take a second, but when it pops up, we can see all the products that this person is selling. We can see all the brands that they're selling, and we can see all the categories they're selling, how many products are in each category or by brand. And we can also see their rating and the total amount of ASINs they have listed, which is 356 units. If this is your store, I apologize, but I had to show somebody's store. So let's close that off. And let's look at the buy box analysis here. So the buy box analysis is telling us, let's go to the last 30 days. They're saying for the last 30 days, Cantaloupe Antelope had the buy box for 20% of the time, and it was suppressed for 10% of the time, but it was out of stock for 70% of the time. So what that tells me is that this estimated monthly sales of 17 would be a lot higher if it would have actually been in stock the whole time. I mean, if the price was lower, it would have sold more as well. But we can just go through here and see all of the different sellers who have been on here. And in fact, my store is probably going to be listed on here maybe. Who knows? If you're good at Where's Waldo, maybe you'll find it. And then again, we have the discounts. There's no variations on this. If you wanted to add it to your Google Sheets, you could do that. Here's the different lookup details from the different times that I've looked this item up, right? And then of course we have the keep a chart at the bottom. There is one thing that's different about the mobile app than the desktop app, and that is the scanning functionality. So let me show you how that works. I actually happen to still have a bag of that $70 Mr. Beast chocolate. Let me go ahead and scan it just to show you how the mobile app works real quick. We got the barcode, we got the app. We're going to shake to scan, right? Super cool feature. And then we're going to scan the barcode. Boom. And then the results come up. It actually uses multiple cameras on your phone to be able to scan the barcode super quick like that. It takes only like a quarter second, which is super fast. And then from there, we have access to all of the same data that we had access to before, but just in a mobile app, which is super duper handy. If you're interested in trying SellerAmp out, there is a 14-day free trial link in the description below. And if you need more help than that, please click the link underneath that to see if you qualify for my mentorship program. I do work with about 100 students in my private reselling academy, and we have taken people from 0 to 100,000 in sales in their first year. It is replicatable. We got the proof, and I would love to see you in there. Click down there, see if you qualify. See you guys on the next video. Peace.